20 double O, 2000 baby. Eating palms, Monterey Road, I'm a project baby. Eagles Drive, we was at Oak Grove, barely graduated. We got Tasha, Molly, Bodie, corporate, they gon' have to hate us.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the New Media Podcast. I'm your host, Ya. We hope you enjoyed the last episode because, as always, today is going to be an even better episode. Got the whole crew with me today. Everybody's in the house. Week 2 just got wrapped up, and I feel like it's only right that we talk about it. Before we jump into week 2, we want to have a little bit of a temperature check and see how everybody's doing today.
Feeling good, man. 1-1. Let's get it.
1-1, baby. On the path to 3-14, but 1-1.
I think everybody in here is 1-1.
Everybody's 1-1, right?
1-1 all around, man. I'm excited to get into week 2 and discuss what happened. So it's only right that it only makes sense that we talk about the very first game that kicked off week 2, and that was Los Angeles Chargers on the road in Kansas City. They lost 27-24. The duel between Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes was won again by Patrick Mahomes. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I came into this game thinking the Chiefs would win this pretty comfortably. I think the effort that Justin Herbert put in this game was phenomenal, to be honest, considering his circumstances. He didn't have Keenan Allen. He was playing injured, but again, there is this issue of Justin Herbert second halves compared to first halves. It feels like he just can't finish out games. You can point out to the fact that maybe he was playing injured, but overall it feels like the production in the second half of games just isn't as leveled up to what his first half performances are usually. So, I mean, I didn't have any surprises that Mahomes was going to win this game. He did come away with maybe 2 or 3 picks that could have went the other way. So by his standards, he didn't play as great as he did, but again, Mahomes pulled it out. So no surprise there for me.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really surprised. I felt like they were outmatched offensively. And of course, not having Keenan Allen attributed to that, but I think it's unfair to say Herbert has this fall off in the second half of games. Maybe production goes down, but you're making it seem like he's having awful second halves and stuff. But
that's 2 games in a row where, last week he got away with against the Raiders where he didn't play too well in the second half.
So it's 1 game then, it's not 2.
Well,
I mean, okay, then all I know is you better not be saying nothing about Lamar then. That's all I'm saying.
No. I definitely will. If you want to beat me to the punch, you can talk about him.
Let's stick with Justin.
I'm just saying. I'm gonna point that out.
No.
Last week he was able to get away with it because he played the Raiders. That didn't happen. That wasn't the case this week against the Chiefs. But I'll let you continue.
No, the Chiefs are levels on the Raiders. Obviously, offensively, having Patrick Mahomes is just a cheat code. He'll get the 4 touchdowns a game. So you have to match that. And Herbert, he's not there yet, but he's definitely going to get there. Man, he's going to get there really quick. So.
Yeah, for me, it goes to the second half, just like against the Raiders last week and just like against the Chiefs this week. They had a comfortable, great first half. They played pretty well. They're setting up with Mike Williams. And then you get to the second half and it's just stagnant. They're not running the same plays as they're running first half. They're running the ball more. I'm pretty sure on third downs, they're 3 for 11 or 3 for 13?
They struggled on third downs.
They struggled a lot on third downs, especially in the second half. So I feel like, a lot of us predicted the Chiefs were going to come in there, win the game by a good margin. I really believe the Chargers had the ball in their court. I do believe they should have won the game. I do believe the refs kind of gave Mahomes the 1 to 2 picks where it looked like one of them actually was an interception, and they said, "Oh, he didn't control the ball all the way to the ground." So I don't know. There was a lot going on in the game, but for me, it's the coaching decisions by the Chargers coach Staley during the second half. They weren't aggressive. They weren't really trying to end the game. So shout out to the Chiefs for winning, but don't sleep on the Chargers.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I feel like it was bad coaching, and of course, Justin Herbert not performing in the second half. But the one thing I want to point out is that pick 6 that he threw when they were marching down the field.
The pick 6.
I mean, the Chargers had this game won. Mahomes, he didn't have his greatest game, like Abdi mentioned, and Herbert was having a good game. Actually, he was having a great game before that pick. So for him to throw a pick in the red zone, in a situation where you really need to score to kind of ice the game and not give Mahomes life, because that's the one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to give that guy life and hope, because if you give him a chance, he's going to make you pay for it. And I feel like that's what he did. And I'm not really surprised that the Chiefs came out and won this game, because Mahomes is whenever they play the Chargers. I mean, in recent history, they've always come out on top. So, I mean, I got nothing to say about the Chargers. I think one thing I want to point out was another thing is bad coaching from Staley, where Joe Ever looked exhausted on that drive.
That was that pick, right? Where on that drive he targeted Everett. Everett was dead tired on that drive.
Everett was
back-to-back passes on that drive too.
Yeah, he was getting targeted a lot on that drive, and the very up until that pick six, he was asking to come out of the game, and the coach said, "No, we're going to hurry up offense." And then he got called again. His number got called on, and it ended up being a pick six. So maybe if they just slow it down a little bit and control the game,
I feel like Austin Eckler wasn't even involved like that up until like the fourth quarter of the game.
Up until the fourth quarter when they were down, they started dishing him, hitting him. But he got to be involved more in the game. But yeah, we'll see.
I mean, they're good. The Chargers, they're a good pass blocking team, but when it comes to run block, it's not that great.
And that's where a lot of the drives in the second half on those third downs,
you gotta be able to establish the run at some point,
And a lot of those plays, where they didn't complete on third down, I did not see Eckler running the ball. It was Joshua Kelly, it was Sony Michel. So I don't know. The coaching decisions have to get better for the Chargers. I feel like it was the same way last year. The losing games by 3 points, 2 points, 1 point. It all came down to a lot of the coaching.
And this is a divisional game, so
game.
These games count.
Back to back divisional. Back to back divisional games. I mean, they let one slip away. I'll say that. Next, we have the Jets on the road in Cleveland, surprising us. They came back and won this game 31-30. Joe Flacco throws for 370 yards and 4 touchdowns. Nick Chubb rushes for 87 yards and has 3 touchdowns, but not enough for his team to come out on top.
This was crazy. This game was just hilarious. Garrett Wilson, what a talent. There's a reason why the Jets went out and got him in the draft. He proved his worth as the rookie just went off. I think he had 2 touchdowns this game, right? And he had the game winner, I believe, as well. So he just went out and balled. Joe Flacco, I don't know, he turned back the clock. So I have no words for this game. The Browns had it. They were legit two score up.
It was a minute 33 seconds when Nick Chubb scored that last touchdown.
Exactly. And
it's like they had no timeouts. I don't know.
It's crazy. People try to point out, Nick Chubb should have slid, but it's just you're up 2 touchdowns. You're up 2 touchdowns with legit under 2 minutes left. There's no excuse for choking a game.
Touchdowns and no timeouts, man.
And Nick Chubb's I don't know, usually I've seen it before where he's slid just before he got to the end zone, but I guess that one just got away from him. But still, on the list of things that went wrong for the Cleveland Browns, at the bottom of it is Nick Chubb. So that's just a crazy game.
You cannot blame
him. Not at the bottom. I don't think it's at the bottom at all. Honestly, I feel like you should know your situational awareness in the game. Hey, I'm up 1 touchdown already. You got 2 touchdowns.
Now you go up 2 touchdowns. Now you go
up 2 touchdowns, but they have no timeouts. So you can bleed the clock out.
So if they have no timeouts with a minute and 20 seconds.
You bleed the clock out.
But no, a minute and 20 seconds left in the game. You're up 2 scores, right? Where's your defense? We predicted. We said the Browns were a top 5 defense.
You're letting Joe Flacco slice you up.
I mean, this is the Browns defense that everybody was gassing up with.
Hey, but you can't say it was Nick Chubb's problem, though. I mean,
I don't know, man.
The list of issues that went wrong this game, Nick Chubb is legit the bottom.
I do want to give a shout out to
onside kick,
and then the defense giving a back-to-back touchdown.
Jacoby Brissett.
I do want to give a shout out to Robert Saleh, though. He is a hell of a coach.
He don't give up
from the Kyle Shanahan tree, man. He's gonna be a nice one.
He don't give up. I gotta give him that respect, man. Shout out Garrett Wilson, though, man. That guy's he's a hooper. I think 12 targets this week, 11 targets last week. He's getting looks, so pretty exciting season for him. I want to see him with Zach Wilson, although he's balling with Joe Flacco, but embarrassing for the Browns to give up 14 points in less than a minute. So bad game plan from them. Great game plan from the Jets. Good one for them.
And the Jets stole this one for sure. But the next game we have is the Washington Commanders and the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions win this one 36-27. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I mean, I picked these guys for a reason. You see the playmakers on this offense: Amon-Ra, DeAndre Swift, DJ Chark. TJ Hawkinson kind of struggled this game.
We ain't gonna say DJ Chark because he has 0 catches last game.
But he's just another threat on the field for them. Jamal Williams and the 2 running backs, and then you have Amon-Ra, who I thought last season, the second half, the role that he was in, just the amount of receptions that he was getting. I thought maybe it was just a matter of just they were force feeding him, but this guy's legit. Like he actually just.
I think it's 8 straight games where he had above 100 yards.
Yeah,
dating
like
back to last
he's
year.
on a crazy. I think he's on a crazy streak right now. It's like
Crazy.
70 plus yards and a touchdown in each of his last 5 or 6 games, something like that, like a crazy stat. And so I had no surprise that they won this game. You know, Carson Wentz, yeah, he got his stats and whatnot, but you know he's gonna get his picks as well. So I mean, the Lions pulled it out. The more playmakers you have, the better. Simple as that.
Shout out that defense though. Don't forget about that defense.
Yeah,
No,
they
that
got the
defense
safety,
is
I think, too,
ridiculous.
right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Aiden Hutchinson left injured, which is pretty concerning. But that defense is
Walked
very
out
young
4
and
sacks.
talented and hungry.
4 sacks
very
in the
young.
game, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, that defense is a bunch of hungry dogs. But no, this Lions team is legit. They're building their future correctly, stacking up on every position. I believe it was last year. It was their offensive tackle Sewell, who's actually amazing. And then now it's they got Aiden Hutchinson. So hopefully, I mean, another year maybe, probably get their franchise quarterback and move on and build from there. But yeah, this team is legit.
Hey, Jared Goff hasn't been playing bad these 2 games for the
Hey,
Lions.
we did call Jared Goff a bridge quarterback. He's
Yeah.
just gonna
He's
keep
a
him
bridge
afloat.
quarterback.
He's
He's
a bridge
not.
quarterback, but he's not doing bad for the Lions right now. I feel
Yeah,
like
he's not.
he bought into the system and it's kind of working.
He's doing what they need him to do.
Yeah. I don't think we haven't mentioned that Detroit O-line, man. They playing phenomenal last season. They've been
Those
playing
guys are holding
phenomenal.
it up. They're playing
Especially
amazing.
The holes
that
they
run-
opened
that
for
run-
DJ Swift is ridiculous.
DeAndre Swift, I mean,
right? He got 10 carries and ended up the game with like 120 rush yards. It's crazy what the holes they're opening up from every single time. So shout out to that offensive line. Dan Campbell got his boys going right now. I believe they should be 2-0, but I'm pretty sure they lost to
the
Eagles
Eagles.
last
Yeah,
week.
it was a close
I
game.
still think they would have won that game, but they lost by 3. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Keep it pushing. But shout out to the Lions, man. BLS though, man. Your Commanders take. I'm telling you, every week I'm against them, and they got the
Hey
Eagles.
man,
And they
Chase,
got the
Chase
Eagles
Young
coming
comes
up
back
next
in 2 games. Chase Young comes back in 2 games, man. We'll talk after that once that defense actually gets shored up.
But we'll talk then. But
Yeah, I read this morning where Aiden Hutchinson's actually good. That injury that he had towards the end of the game is nothing too serious, according to his coach. But one thing I want to point out is, I had the Commanders winning this one. I thought Carson Wentz would be the guy to outplay Jared Goff and win this game. But looking at the box score right now, he went scoreless in the first half. I think you just can't do that against a team like the Lions, even though the Lions are nothing too crazy. But their team, we mentioned this last week, they're a team that plays with a lot of heart, and they fight from beginning to the end. And for him to come, to try to come back from behind and pull this one out, just says a lot about Carson Wentz. We all know he's not the greatest quarterback in the world. We weren't talking highly about him in the offseason. So you got the Eagles next week, you said?
I'm pretty sure they got the Eagles next week.
Yeah.
Hey man, we'll I don't want to talk about Carson Wentz right now, but the fact that you think he's an overrated quarterback is
overrated is an understatement, bro. I think he's a terrible quarterback.
I just think he's a just quarterback, man.
Do you think he's a bridge quarterback just like Goff is?
At this point of his career, yes, to be honest.
Oh, I don't believe in that.
I believe so.
I do not believe.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd call him a bridge quarterback, but depending on how long the Commanders keep him for, who knows? Maybe give him a couple years.
It's gonna depend on his success this year. I'm not giving him a couple years, or I'm not giving him 2 years.
This team is relatively young too, so I'd give him a couple years. I think giving him a couple years is fair.
Yeah, but I question the direction of where this team is trying to go.
Yeah, that's
the Washington Commanders. Like, I'm confused what they're trying to do. Are they trying to be a middle of the pack team? Are they trying to contend for a playoff spot? I just don't know what they're trying to do, especially with Carson Wentz at quarterback. What's the end goal? I just don't know.
Solid pieces on offense, solid pieces on defense.
Like, they have playmakers, Scary Terry, what's his name? Curtis Samuel looked good. Jahan Dotson went crazy last week. Antonio Gibson was looking good.
Yeah, so it's a lot of young up and coming talent. So I feel like Carson Wentz needs about a year or 2 to develop with these guys, and then we'll see from there. But we can't really judge it right now. Is what I'm saying.
I just feel like a year or 2 is not enough. It's too much time for a team like the Commanders.
And Carson Wentz is not a young quarterback where he's going to take time to adjust to a team. This guy's been in the league for a minute, so
I don't know, man. I just felt like he's been tossed the wrong hand, and of course going to the Colts where he was used as a scapegoat. which I feel like was ultimately not the case. But I feel like with the Commanders,
I don't think Wentz was the main problem for the Colts, but he was part of the problem. But we'll get to the Colts, but looking at what they're doing this year, you can see there's some other problems. So,
with that being said, we'll go ahead and move on to our next game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers walk away from New Orleans with the win. They went 20-10. Jameis Winston didn't have his greatest game. He threw 3 picks. Tom Brady didn't play too well, but it was good enough for him to come out with this win. So,
can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
Me and Chico made a bet at the beginning of the year. I think it was 37 touchdowns for Tom Brady.
37.
Yeah,
I'm gonna send him the money real soon. I don't think that's happening. I do not think that Tampa Bay offense is gonna get anything from Tom Brady for that 37 passing touchdowns. It's looking rough right now for them, bro. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. The offense is not really pushing these past 2 weeks. They're not finding their targets. The run game first week was fine. Last week, it's just a lot of drop balls, a lot of players. It's a lot of mishap happening. So for me, tough grind out win, but hopefully this offense can, make something shake the next 4 to 5 weeks and get back into form. So we'll see. And then Jameis Winston, man, 3 interceptions, man. It's embarrassing. Devin White came out post game and he was like, yeah, man, he threw 30 picks when he was on this team. We know what James is. Showed that game. Showed big time.
I don't know. Speaking of offense, I'm close to hitting the panic button on the Saints. I gave them a week 1 excuse. They're rusty. They looked better in the second half. James cooked up, but this week I get it. Like the Saints and the Bucks, like you always want to go to the under in this game. Like whatever the score is, you have to go in the under. It just doesn't matter. Like we saw, it's always a nasty affair, but to throw 3 picks, and I feel like Chris Olave was open a lot in this game. James just couldn't find him. A lot of his targets, it just felt like James does not play close to his best game. And I don't know, this offense is scaring me. Like if Kamara's able to return, maybe they're going to be able to establish the run, look a little bit better. But overall, it just feels like for the amount of talent that this offense is supposed to have, they're just leaving like everything on the table. Like there's just a lack of explosiveness. James is not able to hit his guys, and you're not going to play the Falcons week in and week out. Like, come on, like this, you're playing against Tom Brady. So I'm scared. I'm close to hitting the panic button. It's looking scary for the Saints.
Do you think there's some type of problem with like the coaching staff not finding the right offensive scheme with this many talented players on the team? Like,
I don't know if it's a matter of, it's a matter of just like Jameis trying to like mesh with this like new core that he has of wide receivers and them just trying to get on the same page. It just feels like there's just no fluidity.
Last year, Sean Payton was coach last year, right?
Yeah, he was coaching last year.
Jameis started off fantastic.
What was he like 6? No, he was like 5-2 or something as a starter.
5-2. I can't count that last. I think they lost when he got hurt. So I'm saying 5-1 for him. He had like 8 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it might be the offensive playbook. They switched it up from what Sean Payton had.
At the same time, I don't want to overreact. It is only week 2, but at the same time, it's just like you kind of need like positive signs. It's just there's just lacking positive signs in this team right now.
It's like,
so I could have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers falling off. Like it doesn't matter.
7 out of 8 quarters the offense look like.
Yeah.
Actually, you made an interesting point, BH, to pick up on yours. I feel like Dennis Allen, as I mentioned earlier in our first couple episodes, Dennis Allen is a defensive-minded coach. He does not have the offensive array as these other balanced coaches like McVay, Kyle Shanahan, people like that. He is really struggling. He's struggling bad.
The play calls to me look
the play calls look very bad. The wide receivers, I mean, they get open and Jameis looks at his other progressions. So I just feel like they're just lost right now, and it doesn't help that Kamara's out as well. So that's someone that was, your safety blanket, just dump him off into the flat, let him do his thing. So yeah, this team, I wouldn't say panic button yet, but I feel like they really need to get it together quick because this division is going to be Tom Brady's for the taking otherwise.
Yeah, I know I picked the Saints to win this one, but if anything, I'm glad that Brady was able to come out of this game victorious. Even though, Mike Evans got ejected and Chris Godwin being down, Julio not playing this game, it's still good enough for him to come out and win. But moving forward, I'm going to have to agree with you, Big H, in terms of this offense. I just don't know where it's going, but I want to say it's because they don't have their playmakers playing right now.
And another thing is Mike Evans, man. calm down, clear your head, bro. Like what he did on the field.
Lattimore might, and like it's getting old, bro. Like
It's like Tom and Jerry, man. Those two
getting
go at it
old
like
at
no
this point. Like
tomorrow.
he ran from the opposite side of the field just to hit him. Like it wasn't even like he was there.
I saw a clip of Bruce Arians actually sending him. He like talks to him while he's on the sideline, and he like promotions.
They want him to do that, but it's not good. It is not good. It is
honestly, I have no idea what Bruce Arians is doing.
I think actually Bruce Arians was talking to. I think he's talking to Lattimore. If anything, I think Lattimore.
Yeah, I think he was talking to Lattimore.
Lattimore was talking to the sideline, and then Mike Evans like saw Fournette and Lattimore get into it with Brady, and then they kind of just Mike Evans just jumped right in.
He lost his cool like this. It wasn't even like 2 seconds. He was like, I made my mind up. I'm gonna go push his ass.
I think he had like one catch for like 7 yards.
If Tom Brady's my quarterback, man, there's a lot I'd do just to.
I respect it though, because after the play, he went to the ref. He was like, "Man, that's Tom Brady, man. Y'all can't."
But still, though, it's just like you can't be doing that every time you play Lattimore. And like, at least if you're gonna do that, at least like win your matchup. Like Lattimore just puts him in shackles and they get ejected. What'd you gain?
He gained nothing. He got suspended for the next game.
Yeah, I hope it was worth it because he got suspended. So
now you're going into the next game. He's gonna be right there. Him, Godwin, Julio Jones, all out. Brady's gonna have to pass to Scotty Miller. Who?
Leonard Fournette will dump off.
Rashard Perriman.
It is bad, man.
Russell Gage, man.
I can't wait for Chris Godwin to come back though, man. That guy, he's gonna help Brady a lot, but the hamstring got it. He'll look.
Next, we have the Carolina Panthers going on the road against the New York Giants. The New York Giants win this one 19-16. Yeah, Baker Mayfield, man. I got. Yeah. I'll give you guys.
Double down on Baker this week, huh?
It was neither like a quarterback duel and it was neither a running back duel. I mean, I think, especially on Saquon's side, it was a tough sledding. He had like 71 rushing yards and like 21 carries. It was a bit of a tough running. I don't think CMC was like unreal or anything. I think he had a pretty decent game, not too bad, but overall I just felt like
he had a horrible game.
Yeah,
if he took away that 60-yard run,
like if you just look at it straight stats wise, like it looked like a pretty decent game, but overall, like the running backs, it was a tough day for them as well. It's just overall a defensive game. I had the Giants winning this, but I just feel like they need to start getting Kadarius Toney involved. That's their best wide receiver. He's one of the twitchiest wide receivers I've seen in this league, and I'm saying that and he's in his second year. The guy's just an amazing route runner. He's quick, but they need to get him more involved. I think they're saying he's about 80% healthy, so hopefully he can get back to 100%. But this game was nothing to write home about. It was a defensive affair, so I had the Giants winning this.
Yeah, this game was rather bad, and it was bad because I had to watch Baker Mayfield throw the ball. That guy is just a bona fide scrub. He thinks he's like this person in his head that he's not. And I feel like once his skill set showed, I mean, it's the same old thing. It's Baker Mayfield. He looked good at coming out of college when he played with the Sooners. And I don't know, man, that just did not translate to the NFL. And yeah, I don't know. He won a Heisman and everything, and it just went downhill from there for me. The Browns weren't really good for the first 1 or 2 years until they got that lead defense and running game and everything situated. So he's had a bad card dealt him, but he's just overall just a horrible quarterback.
Yeah, whatever BLS said, Baker Mayfield, you can't come into a game expecting to win throwing 145 yards. That is just, come on now. You got DJ Moore, a premier elite receiver in the league. You have
like DJ Moore does not get looked at. He does not get looked at.
It's OBJ all over again.
It's OBJ all over again. He has Robbie Anderson, and he's going to throw a Hail Mary to Robbie Anderson. We know it's not going to work much. So Baker Mayfield, to me, it's not going to work with the Panthers. They're not making the playoffs. They're not going to get more than 6 or 7 wins. It's going to be a tough year for them, especially. And then you go to the Giants side. Daniel Jones didn't really do much better than him. He came out with 162 yards and a touchdown. So I felt like both defenses were just grinding it out, getting to field goal range. And then whoever had the ball last got, game-winning drive. Over. That's what it was.
I know last week I doubled down on Baker Mayfield. I mean, it costed me 2 points in the end, and I think I'm done. I'm getting off this train. I mean, I like the guy. I think he's just an average quarterback. I don't think he's the worst. I don't think he's the best. But against the Giants, he was terrible. There's no way I can cut it. I mean, 145 yards, 1 touchdown. You don't get your playmakers involved. I mean, Christian McCaffrey He's known for catching the ball out of the backfield. He only had 4 catches for 26 yards. That's just unacceptable. We know what he's capable of doing.
He missed him a couple times too. Yeah, that was the funny part. So
it's like, I mean, DJ Moore, as you guys mentioned, he deserves to get way more targets than he's getting right now. If you take away that touchdown, he finishes with maybe like less than 30 some yards on 2 catches. That just can't happen. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Carolina Panthers moved on from him and started Sam Darnold, the guy he beat out in training camp. But overall, it was just a terrible game for Baker Mayfield. But I want to talk about the Giants, though. Enough bashing on Baker. Kenny Golladay, he only played 2 snaps in this game. I just feel like I don't know what's going on with that situation. I feel like he's a good receiver in this league, and they paid him top dollar. And if they decide to cut him, they're gonna have to pay him 21 mil, I think. But
I think good is a stretch.
I think
Kenny
I mean
Golladay at this point in his career, the guy just can't get separation as a quarterback, as a wide receiver now at this point in his career. Like, he ranked dead last in separation last year, so it just shows me like he just doesn't fit what this offense is looking for. I think this offense is looking for a lot more playmakers, guys to get open, yards after the catch, like Kadarius Toney and Sterling Shepard and whatnot. But Kenny Golladay is a jump ball specialist, and that's only what I've known him for. But he can't even get open on these. It's just like he's sluggish on his routes. He just doesn't. It just feels like he doesn't fit this offense.
It looks like he doesn't try. To me, it looks like he got paid, and then it's like, like half effort.
Everything's at 50% for him.
Yeah, it's 50%.
Guys, just off-brand Allen Robinson, man.
I don't know. He was good in Detroit before he came to New York.
When was that? 3 years ago?
2 years ago. Last year, I believe, was his first year as a Giant, and now this year, where he's barely playing. And he was good in Detroit. We had a couple of 1,000-yard seasons and I think 5+ touchdowns.
Hey, I mean, when Stafford's only options him on that team, he's gonna have to throw him the ball. He's gonna have to throw him the ball in Detroit. I
just don't understand. What's the point of paying a guy, this much money if they're not gonna play him? What's the point? Might as well just cut him.
I think Giants feel like he's just not good.
There has to be a reason, and like they seen it in practice. After you pay a guy, they're like, oh, maybe this guy, he's gonna take us over the top. But coming into practices and seeing his, tape on the field, seeing him eye to eye, face to face.
Like, it's not a situation like Allen Robinson. Like, Allen Robinson is actually like Allen Robinson. His situation was just his quarterback play, and like they could not get him the ball. Kenny Golladay is legit. Like, I don't see the hype around Kenny Golladay. He just can't get separation. Just primarily a jump ball specialist. I just don't see with him.
Giants are going to have
a marquee wide receiver on the free agent market. Like when
he was pretty good.
Because he got paid the way he did because the team saw potential in him and Giants were willing to pay that potential. So I just feel like there's something going on in the background. I agree.
I understand his work ethic might not be the greatest based on the clips that we've seen in training camp, but to not even give him a chance and to put him out there 2 snaps. You're telling me he's only good enough to play 2 snaps for you?
We've seen Sean McVay come out after week 1 and get on Cam Akers' head saying that, hey, if this guy wants to play, he's gonna have to come into to practice to earn that spot. To like, hey, you got to work.
Kenny Golladay is not their best wide receiver. I'll tell you that right now.
I don't think Golladay is their best receiver. I don't think he brings that effort. He doesn't try 50-50 type guy, and he got paid already. So for him, it's like, who cares?
I don't know, man. I'm looking at the receiving core right now, and the leading receiver for their team was Richie James.
And then another guy is like, why don't they involve Kadarius Toney in the offense? It's like you drafted him real early, and you're not involving him in the offense. So it's tough. It's tough. Sterling Shepard's a good receiver, but he can't.
Sterling Shepard, he's nice, but I don't know what direction they're going in terms of this offense with their weapons. If they're going to rely heavily on Richie James and David Sills. I believe he was the second leading receiver on this team. What do you want? What are you guys trying to gain from this from this upcoming this season that we're in right now? Like, what's the point of it? But I guess it's worked for them for 2 weeks because they're 2-0. They're 2-0 right now. So
I saw a tweet that said the Giants might be the worst 2-0 team we've ever seen.
I'm glad you said it because I didn't want to be the one to say it, but they're definitely the worst.
What's funny is they can start 3-0 next week.
Who do they got next week?
Cowboys.
Oh man,
that's actually a tough matchup.
I don't know about that one.
It's a tough matchup.
It can go either way, though. It can go either
way. So.
Yeah, Billis, you're not going to like this one. The Patriots on the road in Pittsburgh come out with a win, 17-14. The quarterback that you were dissing, the last episode and episodes prior, Mac Jones, threw for 252 yards and a touchdown.
I do want to say
Kick
one
things
thing.
off for us.
I never bashed Mac Jones, man. Come on, man. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. No, I'm kidding. But this team is lost on offense right now. I feel like offensive coordinator Matt Canada needs to be fired because we didn't have one single throw that went more than 15 yards last game, air yards. So it's getting to a point where the offensive playbook is not getting the ball to our playmakers. You know, the Pickens got 2 targets the whole game last game. So it's getting really alarming offensively wise because our defense is keeping us in games, you know, getting stops, getting interceptions. It's getting to a point where there's no offense even. We just give the ball back to the other team. And of course, our defense can only, you know, do so much for us. So it's getting bad.
This game was an eyesore, honestly. It was an absolute eyesore because you have Mac Jones on one end, who's just a below average quarterback, honestly, in my opinion. And on the other hand, you have Mr. Trubisky. It's just a complete mid-off. Like, you're watching 2 mid quarterbacks go at it. And that's being generous, in my opinion, to Mr. Trubisky. But again, the Steelers, like, the thing about the NFL is defense can only do so much for you. You have to put up points on the board. It's not acceptable for you to get it. Like, what's the point of getting a stop if you're not going to go back on the other end and score? It's tough. Like, you can only stop a team so much. Even if you look at week 1, like, the amount of stops that they got on Joe Burrow, like, they harassed Joe Burrow. And even then, the score was still close enough for the Bengals to almost win that game, just missing getting blocked on a field goal. So, again, offensively, honestly, it might be time to throw Kenny Pickett in the fire. It might be time to just dump him right there and then just go with him because
I totally agree.
It's tough. It's tough to go out there and your defense is trying to get a stop. They do that, give the ball right back, and Mr. Trubisky goes 3 and out. You just can't do that.
Yeah, no. If you can't get the ball in space to Deontay and Pickens, I mean that's a real problem. I feel like Kenny Pickett could at least do that, give those 5-yard outs to our receivers, but he legit cannot get the ball to them. It's ridiculous. So it might be time to hit the panic button on our quarterback situation.
I'm not blaming the quarterback either. I gotta blame that whole line, man. Yeah, y'all got one.
Oh yeah, that is a point.
You're running backs in the league, and you guys are not utilizing them at all. The guy's getting 13 carries and ended up with 32.
I'm gonna lie, Najee looks a bit sluggish though. I'm gonna point that out.
Najee looks real sluggish.
I'm gonna just say it right now. Like, Najee looks slow to me. Like, I know he's supposed to be like one of the better running backs in his class, but like, he's slower than David Montgomery, in my opinion. Like, you see this guy running. He looks slow. Yeah. But again, the offense line is garbage. Like,
he has no holes to like run through. Like, it opens up, and then he has 3 defenders in his face, or he has 2 defenders in his face, or he has 1 defender. It's like, come on now, give him some time to make it work in the backfield, find a hole, and then get open. But that offensive line is not doing justice. Trubisky's not doing justice. That whole offense is just, it's tough. It's tough for you guys. You guys have one of the best defenses in the game, and it's like, hey, you guys can get 10 stops, but that one last stop for offense, they score. Is your offense going to retaliate? They're going to come back down the field and say, hey, I can, knock down 7. It's not looking like that. So we'll see about this offense, man. Maybe it might be Kenny Pickle time, but who knows?
Yeah, you made a good point about their O-line. I feel like their O-line has always been a problem. Just not even going into this year, maybe years prior to this. Najee not looking too good, but you guys did enough bashing on the Steelers. I want to give credit to Mac Jones. He came out and won this game. He didn't. I mean, look at the numbers. He didn't play. Wasn't like nothing crazy when we look at the numbers. But he did his job, and he got this win for this team. Bill Belichick, he came out and established a run. Damian Harris finished with 71 yards on 15 carries and a touchdown. And Mac Jones got his playmakers involved. Nelson Aguilar had 6 catches, 110 yards, and a tug. And Jacoby Myers had 9 catches for 95 yards and no touchdown. So Mac Jones just did what he was supposed to do. He just came into this game.
His typical game manager self, Mac Jones doing Mac Jones things. So
he made plays. That touchdown.
He made a big Aguilar touchdown.
Yeah, that pass, that ball he got to Aguilar, man.
I mean, the Steelers should be embarrassed letting Nelson Aguilar score on them. That's a bit crazy, though.
Yeah, but I think you just got to give credit to Bill Belichick and Mac Jones. They came out and just did what they wanted to do with this team. And, it was good enough to come out with the win. And maybe, it might be time for Kenny Pickett to be thrown into the fire because Mr. Trubisky he's just not getting his playmakers the ball. And they have some playmakers on that team, Claypool, Deontay, and Pickens, who we were high on coming into the season. I just think what the Steelers portrayed in last week, this past week is just unacceptable. but I guess this is just who they are. I tried telling you last week, BLS. I told you Burrow, he did enough to win them that game, but you guys got away with that, And then we coming into this week, we all picked the Steelers to win, and
we'll get this right once we fire offensive coordinator. That's all I think. That's all I call it. He's holding us back the way Zimmer held back the Vikings. It's really bad. He's been in this position for 3 years now. Has done nothing to actually make our offense better. Of course, we lost Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, and it was a bunch of young guys and stuff with Juju, but there's nothing that he can do to change my mind that he's an NFL offensive coordinator. It's ridiculous.
I hear you, man. But the next game we have, this one's a bad one. The Colts, they're shut out against the Jaguars, 24-0. This is a surprising game of the week, to be honest. Trevor Lawrence, 235 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Matt Ryan, what is going on? I don't know what's happening for the Colts right now. They just offensively, they do not look good at all whatsoever. I think JT even struggled this game rushing the ball. Probably had like 50-something yards rushing. I feel like they didn't even try to establish the run as much because they had to abandon it as soon as the Jaguars went up big. And it's looking scary for the Colts right now. I expected Matt Ryan to give this offense a boost, and he's looking nothing short of washed, which is crazy because I thought he was actually going to be a much better quarterback this season than what Carson Wentz was going to be. So it's looking scary for the Colts. I have no other words for them except the fact that they were supposed to come in and look even better than they were last season, and they've just been nothing short of a disappointment.
Yeah, the Atlanta Falcons literally sold the Colts a 1982 Prius, or what do you call it, the Corolla. It's ridiculous. They gave him a franchise quarterback, thinking that, hey, this guy's 3 years removed from being an MVP, but yeah, they got away with one right here, broad daylight. So Matt Ryan just looked awful. This offense, they had no Pittman this week, but the offense just could not do anything. Matt Ryan would see pressure and would not go through the pocket and would just go down. And it was like, if that's your quarterback, it's gonna be a long year. So I wasn't surprised that, Jacksonville won, but Colts are looking bad.
Shout out Jacksonville, man. That defense stepped up to the plate. Put some respect on their name, But the Colts, man, they got some other issues. I don't know what the problem is. The defense is not looking what they looked like last year. Matt Ryan threw 3 interceptions this game?
Yeah,
I think so.
3 interceptions, man. Hey, that is horrible.
Apparently the Colts they haven't, fact check me on it, they have never beaten Jaguars at their own home. Apparently,
yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while since they won in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they haven't beat Houston.
And they're the last time, like, they were the ones that shut out the Colts at their own home in 2017. So that's crazy stat.
Yeah, the Colts got some problems. They got some underlying issues. It might be Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan just looks washed. So if they get Pittman back, we'll see what happens. But that team is.
They're supposed to have easy wins in this division.
It's back-to-back weeks. You got Houston, you tie with them, and then you go to Jaguars and you just get blown out. Don't even score a single point. It's bad. It is bad. That division for the taking, and I thought they'd be the ones that should run off with it, but it's not looking like that. So we'll see. And then Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk, man, they're building a connection.
We need to burn that division, man.
that division need to go. Yeah, it needs to go.
I just yawned at the division. Wow.
They're the worst division in the NFL for sure.
Oh my God, I hate that division.
You can't. We watched the Titans game today. It's just I can't watch.
You just can't watch that division.
I'm not watching Houston, and I'm not watching the Colts. The Jaguars is like the only team that has a little excitement to them. That is just nothing else in that division. So good one for the Jags, man. Colts, go back to the book. Try to fix that defense. Try to fix that offense. They got a lot of problems, so we'll see.
Jonathan Taylor, 9 carries.
That makes
coming off a week where he had 34 touches, something like that. Why go away from something that's been working for you for over a year now? They got some problems. I think it might be time to hit the panic button on them, even though they're in a terrible division. But we'll see next week. I feel like this game that we're about to talk about right now, is the game of the week. The Miami Dolphins on the road in Baltimore. Tua Tagovailoa finishes with 469 yards and 6 touchdowns and defeats Lamar Jackson 42-38. Man,
All I gotta say is like that entire defense need to give their game checks to Lamar. They owe Lamar money because what just happened in the second half of that game, 5 touchdowns on 6 second half drives allowed. Like that means almost every time the Dolphins went on a drive in the second half, they scored a touchdown. That's how bad it got. Lamar's the one that put them up, I believe, 35-14 towards the end of the third quarter with that 70-yard run. Amazing touchdown run. And it's just like people are going to point out, okay, why didn't Lamar do this? Why didn't Lamar was putting up an MVP performance before that fourth quarter meltdown by the defense. Like the fact that Tyreek Hill got open twice like that. The second touchdown was just egregious. Like the guy was just wide open on the left-hand side. That defense would just look terrible. And they might be the reason why Lamar might not perform in this division as well as we think they could be. Just simply the fact that they don't look good. Like, how do you leave Tyreek Hill that wide open? How do you?
Here we go.
You're telling there's no
already.
There's no situation. Listen, there's no situation where you give up nearly 200 yards to 2 wide receivers and you win. You just cannot win in a situation like that. It's impossible.
I'm pretty sure Tyreek got
191 for
No,
Tyreek. 191
in the fourth by himself. Yeah,
191 and 2 touchdowns for him. 171 and 2 touchdowns for Jalen Waddle. You cannot win in a situation like that. It's impossible. Lamar did what he could. Simple as that.
I mean, if he thought he did what he could, I don't know why he came out post game and said, "Hey, we got to finish them off." I mean, that's from the man
just simple
himself.
quarterback talk. Every quarterback's gonna accept that blame.
BLS, one question though. One question. Do you blame Lamar for losing this game against the Dolphins?
Absolutely.
That's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Tell us more. Tell us more.
Lamar, for starters, got him up big. He was celebrating, that big touchdown run. I just feel like he took the gas off the pedal. And we've seen this with Lamar a lot. We see
That's
those
a lie.
games.
What do you mean we've seen this from Lamar a lot?
I mean, just let me land. And we see this from Lamar a lot. We see that he just cannot be that guy. He's not that guy. Simple as. And the quarterbacks that are in his class that came up, Josh Allen, the Mahomes, they got paid the big bucks because their teams are invested in them. They see an outlook. I just feel like the Ravens are teetering there, but it's getting to a point where it's going to be where Lamar is going to get franchise tagged and they're going to try to see what his valuation is because it's not the same as
if anything, Lamar has a bigger excuse to use after this game. He's going to be like, yo, my defense gave up 5 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. What are you talking about? Might have been 6.
You know the Ravens, right? They had the worst pass defense last year in the league, and it's going to continue on this year. It's going to continue.
I don't care, man.
Ultimately,
a quarterback is a leader of the team. He's a leader of 11 men on offense, and he's a leader of 11 men on defense.
Yeah, hear me out though. There's 2 sides there's 2 sides of the ball. You got to play offense and you got to play defense. Lamar was putting up points. The defense had one job, to get stops. You see Tua, coming out hot, getting Tyreek Hill open, getting Tyreek the ball, getting Waddle the ball, and getting touchdowns out of it. As a defensive unit, you got to come out and stop that. And I get it. I get what you're trying to say, Lamar.
Yeah, they were up 35-14 at the end of the third quarter. So it's a sizable lead to give up. I mean, they're not just onsiding and getting the ball back.
So then I'll ask you this question.
All they're doing is Hail Mary to Tyreek. How can you not guard that?
So then I'll ask you this question.
It's hilarious. Well,
before you answer,
two catches. He had 130 yards before.
Is 35 points? Well, 38. Let's just say 35 for right now. Is 35 points not enough for a team to win a game?
If the other team is clearly fighting back, especially in the second half, once you do see that, we got to lock in. We got to stop getting complacent. And I feel like
if anything, there's a certain side of the ball that needs to lock in. But
that doesn't answer my question though. No. If you score 35 points as a team, your offense puts up 35 points. Should that be enough for you to win a game? Yes or no?
Actually, 38. Correction. 38.
It should be enough. No,
the kick. No,
absolutely, especially in today's NFL. I mean, 35, 40 gets you a win. Unless it's a shootout and other teams fighting back. But this is what it was. The team was fighting back, and Lamar just could not put the punches back. That's all
like
it was.
5 out of 6 touchdown on 6 drives. That means almost
They got the
every
ball
time
back
they got the
every
ball
time
back,
after that
touchdown,
drive.
got the ball, touchdown, got the ball.
Did the Ravens
touchdown.
not get the ball back at the end of those drives?
The thing,
Yes or
the
no?
thing,
They
the
did,
thing
right?
is,
That's my
look,
question.
bro. This is not Madden. Like you're not gonna score 70 points, right? You're not. That's
It's
not
not 70
realistic.
points. It's a matter of seeing the game script flipping.
The thing is, though, your defense has to at least get. Nobody's saying you're gonna completely shut out the Dolphins. That's not realistic here. But to allow that many points in just one quarter is ridiculous. That's unheard of. Like you don't hear about a defense giving up that many points, and you allow 171 and 191 to just 2 wide receivers. Like, come on, like you're not gonna win a
No,
situation where you give up 400. You give up 400 yards to 2 wide receivers. You're not gonna win in any situation.
No, I agree. I agree that the defense let him down, but at some point, I mean, you can't just always, use the defense excuse. Use defense excuse. The quarterback is to
I
go
feel like in
lead a team.
this situation, I feel like
is to lead
it's a
team.
valid excuse though, because before the field goal that they got towards the end of the game, it was 35-14 going into the fourth quarter. And like Abdi mentioned, Lamar just capped off a 75-yard rushing touchdown. Is that not enough for your team to come out victorious?
I want to use an example. I have a question as an example. Remember when Alex Smith choked that wild card game where they were up 38-2, I believe it was like 8 or 3 or something. Was he not blamed for stalling out? And basically once they saw that they were making a run, that he just completely got complacent, wasn't doing what he was doing the rest of the 3 quarters. So this is not something where you guys can go ahead and say, hey, I understand the argument that defense.
Alex Smith was not cooking up that Colts game though. We're going to bring that game up like Alex Smith was cooking like Lamar Jackson. He was not. They had a big lead off of running and a lot of turnovers. They forced a lot of.
He got him to 38 points. That's all I'm saying.
But he did not do what Lamar was doing. No, it wasn't though. It wasn't though. They did.
What did Lamar have? 338 passing yards. I think
318 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 119 rushing yards, and a touchdown.
That's ridiculous. That's nearly 500 yards by himself. Like, come on, man. Like, if you're producing 500 yards and 4 touchdowns all on your own, you did what you could. You put up 35 points for your defense, 35-14 in the fourth, and your defense decides to give up 5 touchdowns on 6 second half drives.
You want to make note, Alex Smith, that game also had 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. So it's the same thing that Lamar did here. And Alex Smith was given a lot of backlash on that. I remember it very clearly, actually.
So I feel like 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, but the defense gave up a 40-point lead.
Yeah.
So the defense has no blame.
He's the quarterback of the team.
The defense. He's
not a running back. Lamar is a quarterback, right? Everybody says he's a quarterback.
Yeah. And he played like a quarterback.
He had a good passing game. I'm not the biggest Lamar fan, but I'm not going to hate on him.
He had a
good passing game.
I'm confused why you're putting quarterback in quotes. He had 3 touchdowns and 330 yards.
I think people are in love with the flashy idea. I feel like he's the Kyrie of the NBA, minus the ring, of course. I just feel like people are in love with this idea of, hey, he plays like Vic. He's mobile. He's like super good and stuff. You guys are in love with the idea of Lamar, but he is absolutely not a Super Bowl contending quarterback.
But you like Kyler Murray, and who's considerably worse. Makes no sense. Like Kyler Murray had 1 touchdown this week.
Is he considerably worse?
He's 10 times worse.
He's 10 times worse.
Considerably.
We'll get to Kyler Murray in a bit.
But no, it makes no sense to me. A guy coming into the fourth quarter just off a 75-yard rushing touchdown with 15 minutes left in the game, and his defense gets cooked, but the defense gets 0 points. 0
come on, man. Like,
that just doesn't make any sense to me.
If anything, we just know Lamar's price went up after this game. That's for a fact.
Did it really?
It skyrocketed.
I gotta admit, I think that price went up a little bit after that game.
I think it lost a couple of dollars, man.
Nah.
The one thing I want to say from this game,
without Lamar, bro, they're scoring 0 points yesterday. Like, if you take Lamar off that team, they're not scoring a single point.
Yeah, Lamar's a crazy floor raiser.
Nobody's replicating what he did on that field.
Lamar's a crazy floor raiser. Like, it's just ridiculous.
You guys are in love with the idea of Lamar being this person that he is never going to be.
If the idea of him can give me a unanimous MVP, I love ideas. Then bring me more.
And it was voters fatigue. That's all I'm saying.
But one thing before we get off this Lamar fiasco, whatever. Mm-hmm. Tua, shout out him. He had a
he had a great game.
He had a great game. So put some respect. A lot of people have been disrespecting his name, but 450, 6 touchdowns, game-winning drive coming off. Big game for him. Shout out to him.
I mean, that's like Corey Brewer, 51 points, but
we got to stop disrespecting
I digress,
Tua. But
Like guys are just like wide open, but he's just hitting guys that are wide open.
I completely understand.
But hey, even then, so I'd be a lot of quarterbacks will quit even before that fourth quarter.
I'll give him that. Like
A lot of people will be
persisted.
like, I'm done.
Persisted.
Yeah.
Now, if you're still hating on Tua after
No,
this,
for sure I'm
after
still
this
hating.
week,
What?
I'm still hating for
man,
sure.
that's crazy.
I'm his number one
But-
hater.
I don't want to move on from Lamar just yet because I do want to say this. I completely agree with you guys when you guys are saying his defense let him down. I hear all that. And in the fourth quarter, it's just unacceptable to give 4 touchdowns. But Lamar got the ball back a couple of times. And when you see what the other team on offense is doing, and they're coming out gunning every time, every drive is a touchdown. It's finishing in a touchdown. They're getting points on the board. But you have this significant lead. You on the sidelines as a quarterback and the leader of this team, you gotta get your guys, you gotta rally your guys, and you gotta basically finish out the game. Like I understand the defense wasn't showing up, so then put the game in your hands. You had control of the game, and the defense lost it, and clearly they're not regaining the game back for you. And if you're getting the ball back in the fourth quarter, you gotta be better at clock management. You put some nice drives together and put some points on the board. I believe he got the
thing
ball.
is, it was kind of hard for the Ravens. Like just still like they have no running game outside of Lamar. Like the one thing that the Ravens offense was predicated on was being able to establish the run. And I think if you look at the stats outside of Lamar, they didn't have a great rushing game. Like nobody was able to establish run. And that's a big part of their offense again. So it's looking a bit odd for the Ravens how much they've been pass happy. So again, like a chunk of this offense's inability to even run the ball, and like again, running the ball like allows you to milk a clock, allows you to slow things down and take your time on stuff. They're still unable to do that. And so Lamar is being forced to air it out way more than like he's normally able to do in this offense that's built on running the ball. So I get what you're saying. Like perhaps he could have maybe made a couple of big plays or a couple throws here, like slow down the game. But there's only so much a quarterback can do until his defense.
I mean, when I said it, why'd you get mad?
No, I'm not getting like again. For me, there's zero blame on Lamar this game. Like I'm putting 0% on Lamar. Just simply put, what kills me is you're just a Herbert fan. And you love blaming his defense. Now again, you're all like, can you stop flip flopping? Like
I'm not flip.
No, you flip flop because what you were defending Justin Herbert last year and his lack of. No, you do actually. Last year, you're blaming the fact that he had a lack of defense for him not being able to win games. And yet, when we look at the games that he lost, this guy was unable to compete in some shootouts. There's the game, I believe he dropped the game against the Texans, which was huge, the pick 6 game. And so to me, like, it's like people make excuses for Justin Herbert, but when it comes to Lamar, people want to point out, oh, he could have done a play here. The guy produced almost 500 yards of offense. I'm putting zero blame on him, and it's all on defense, 100%. Lamar didn't do nothing wrong this game.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. I mean, he played like a unanimous MVP yesterday, and I predicted he was going to play like that. But I want to talk about Tua because the slander it's gotten to an all-time high. And I think it stops now.
Segment, man.
Yeah, we have to have a Tua segment today, especially after this performance that he put up 6 touchdowns, 4 in the fourth quarter. I mean, we can't not talk about it.
I'd rather talk about Lamar, man, but Tua, that's.
No, we've done enough. We've done enough talking about Lamar. We got a couple Tua haters.
I feel like he's had this obsession with Lamar, and it's getting to a point where he's
unreal performance.
Unvalid excuses.
I got to give you guys an earful about Tua because you guys are some haters when it comes to him. Lamar Jackson, he played like a unanimous MVP yesterday, and Tua outplayed him. So what does that say about Tua? You guys are saying that he's not gonna last long in this league. And he can't throw the ball. He can't get Tyreek the ball. In the preseason, there was a play where he got Tyreek the ball, but he underthrew it a little bit. And you guys are questioning whether he has the arm strength to get him.
What's crazy? He actually did underthrow him on 1 touchdown that game. He actually did. He did. Yes.
Bro, what about the other 60
yard ball? Right in stride.
Yeah, he hit him right in stride, right in his pocket, bro. He got.
The thing is, though, I saw
nobody was around him for that
Tyreek
Jackson second touchdown. Nobody was around him.
I talk about when he underthrew him.
Not the underthrown one, the other one.
So I mean, that's wide open. Like we could have hit.
It's wide open. You're as a quarterback.
Just hating though.
But as a quarterback though, you're supposed to.
No, okay, listen. I'll say this. Tua did his job.
Tua did his job, man.
He did his job. He won the game. He played well. He played
well,
great.
Understatement.
He played great. He played great. Matter of fact. Tua's not gonna do this again. He plays the Bills next week. He's done. This little cute story of like Tua just like, oh, it's just a nice little story. Did well this week. Yeah, outplayed Lamar Jackson. Like it's cute. It's gonna end next week where he plays Josh Allen.
Yeah, no, he's gonna.
Let's come back.
My thing
let's
is,
come back
my
to
thing is,
reality.
every dog has their day, man.
Yeah.
It was just his
He
day.
finally has a coach that believes in his skill set. The organization is fully behind him now. There's no more rumors of bringing in another quarterback to replace him. They got him weapons. The offensive line is average. They have dual threat running backs, Mostert and Edmonds, and Tua absolutely dominated this game. There's nothing more I can really say about him. He had a hell of a performance.
He dominated one quarter. I don't think he
No,
dominated.
don't worry. We're gonna see next week, like when we talk about this upcoming Thursday about this week's matchup. We're gonna see what Tua's talking about against Josh Allen.
The thing is though with Tua, like he's not the best,
but it's just a cute story. Like, it's just a cute story.
Like he's never gonna
it's
do
hilarious.
this again.
I get it. Yo,
talking
left-handed
about him
thrower.
like this.
I get it. Like the team believes in him. Oh, Tyreek thinks he's most accurate quarterback in the league. I get it. It's cute, man. But like, let's come back to reality.
I saw Tyreek high
He lit up the Baltimore Ravens. Tyreek finished with 190. Jalen Waddle finished with 171. I mean, they're not throwing the balls to themselves, bro. Tua's getting in the ball, and those passes are leading to touchdowns. 2 for Tyreek, 2 for Waddle. With the game on the line, he gets Waddle in the red zone. I mean, if you guys are still hating and interesting him after this, and you just really hate the guy personally, it's beyond football at this point.
But when next week, let's say he comes out 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, are you gonna say, hey, what's gonna happen?
He just had a bad game. Quarterbacks can't have bad.
Okay, that's just ridiculous.
That's just
no,
ridiculous.
But don't worry, we're gonna get to it.
But we've seen consistent quarterbacks, and the best quarterbacks, the top 10 quarterbacks, play well throughout the whole season. We're gonna say, hey, he had one good game against the Lamar, but he didn't play well versus the Patriots, or he didn't play well versus the Bills. Okay, one good game. Is that gonna say, hey, he's a great quarterback? How about the other two?
I'm not sitting here and telling you guys he's a great quarterback. He had a great performance for sure, but he's a good quarterback.
There's no way.
The way you guys were talking about him in the offseason and episodes before this one, you guys were talking about him like he's about to be out of the league next year.
I mean, there's still a chance for that, but let's move on.
Fair enough. We'll go ahead and move on to the Rams versus the Falcons. Rams at home, they win this one 31-27. It got a little close in the end. The Falcons put up 17 points in the fourth quarter, but the Rams they were still good enough to get this win. Jalen Ramsey got a pick and sealed the deal for the Rams.
I don't know what's going on with this whole offense and Kyle Pitts. Like, you drafted him that high to not really get him involved like that. Like, the guy has a skill set of a wide receiver. He's incredibly fast. He's tall. He's strong. And yet it just feels like he's not being utilized in this offense. And I'm just like, what's going on here, right? Drake London, amazing performance. He showed out. The reason why he was drafted that high. But it just feels like this team, like, they're just not utilizing Kyle Pitts enough. And I get it, they have Marcus Mariota, but still, like, Kyle Pitts, like, you use that much draft capital on him just not to utilize him. The Rams should be scared that they allowed this to be this close. I don't know. Their defense just doesn't look as daunting as it was last year. Jalen Ramsey's hilarious for saying I'm him after catching a pick on the Falcons. Like, come on, man. It's the Falcons. Like, let's be realistic here. But yeah, I think it's a bit odd that the Rams allowed this to be this close, but they pulled it out. So Allen Robinson finally got his touchdown. He was involved. So that's a good sign for them.
I'm pretty sure when B-Rob got his touchdown, he had 2 targets in the first. I don't think he got any other looks the rest of the game.
Yeah, but that was on AJ Terrell too. That's crazy.
That was on AJ Terrell, man. But
he's been having a tough 2 weeks.
Nah, he's been having a bad couple of years. It seems like ever since Michael Thomas went out. I mean, that's the only time he had that.
Let's respect AJ Terrell. He had a monster last year. What he was incredible last year.
I thought we were talking about Allen Robinson here.
We're talking about
AJ Terrell.
He was good last year though.
AJ Terrell was amazing last year. Not just good, he was amazing.
No, I think he had that stat of like 200 coverage snaps where he didn't get a pass completed on him or something. I mean, it's cute and all, but like, I mean, Michael Thomas is back now, his dad. So I just feel like this game was, Rams just doing whatever they wanted. Of course, they gave up the lead late. But Cooper Kupp, man, you just give that guy 17, 18 targets a game. He's going to turn that into 130 and 2 touchdowns. But I'm never want to hear a word where he's not a top 2 wide receiver in the NFL. He showed it. I mean, you guys want consistency? I mean, it's looking like another 1,800, 1,900 years. So this team is, slowly getting it back together. Cam Akers looked really well. And Allen Robinson got his touchdown. Of course, he got involved. I think he's at this point of his career, he's more of a, red zone wide receiver. I don't feel like he has that burst anymore. So the team looks to be, it's the Rams. That defense will ultimately get it together, and Jalen Ramsey looked way better than he did week 1. So.
Yeah, man. I think we all picked the Rams. We're pretty sure we picked all the Rams to win by a good amount. Coming into halftime, they're up 28-3. The Falcons almost made that comeback, man. They was about to make that Patriots 2.0 comeback on the Rams, but Jalen Ramsey, game-winning pick. For me, is Stafford. Stafford, another 2 interceptions this game. I don't think he's gonna play phenomenal this year. Although they still have Cooper Kupp, 11 catches, 108 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's gonna get targeted. He's gonna get his looks, but still, Stafford is completely. He doesn't look like a great quarterback like he was last year or even the years before. I feel like the shoulder injuries kind of messing him up. Missing OBJ on offense, missing Robert Woods. BLS at the run game was. They had, I think, like 70 yards rushing between Henderson and Cam Akers. So Rams, they won by 4 points. I feel like they're going to have a tough year like I predicted early on in the season. We're going to see. But to talk about Kyle Pitts as well. Arthur Smith, their head coach, came out saying that, hey, we utilize him the way we utilize him. We don't need to get him the ball. He's going to be that factor that we have this year. I think it's due to picking up Mariota, running the ball more, Cordell Patterson getting more touches. I don't see Kyle Pitts doing phenomenally well this year until they get a new passing quarterback in that system, but we'll see.
Yeah, it won't be long until they move on from Mariota. I think they're just going to go with their backup quarterback. I think his name is Desmond Ridder.
Riddler.
Yeah, they'll probably give him some game time real soon. But there's nothing to write home for the Rams. They're supposed to come out and dominate this game, and they did, but then they lost it in the end a little bit. And Jalen Ramsey coming out saying, I'm him and I'm like that. He probably forgot what happened last week when he ran up against Diggs. But Cooper Kupp was Cooper Kupp, and I feel like it's kind of hard to judge Allen Robinson because when you're running alongside a guy that gets force fed the ball 15, 16 targets a game, I don't know if there's food left on the plate for you if your quarterback's only going to one guy. But that's their best weapon, and I can't hate on that. So they're just doing what works for them. But Allen Robinson, he'll get his touches as the season goes on. The next game that we have is the 49ers beating the Seattle Seahawks at home, 27-7.
Your Big Itch is hilarious, bro. Like, you're actually hilarious. So you lost a point just picking. Like, you have to be realistic. Like Geno Smith, like, what do you say?
I told you, man.
I ain't gonna lie.
They wrote me off,
but
I ain't right back though.
You know how to.
The reason why they wrote him off.
He better right back now.
Some quarterbacks in our group right now. He had a couple of better performances than a couple of guys. I ain't gonna say names though.
I'm telling you, Geno better right back right now. You better right back. Like,
yeah, we got ATL. We got ATL next week. He better right back.
But if there's something I want to point out is Kyle Shanahan. There's a lot of Niners fans that were pretty angry at Kyle Shanahan with the way he was utilizing the quarterback. Yeah, Trey Lance. They felt like he was putting him in a position where it was a lot of like run heavy like sets with their quarterback.
One thing I want to say though,
yeah.
he came out today saying, "Hey, the Bills use Josh Allen like this," and
like, come on, but Josh Allen's built like a linebacker.
Yeah, like how you gonna bring up Josh Allen? The guy
he has like 6'5",
built like a tank, and then you say Trey Lance where he's not built like Josh Allen. He said, "Oh, if Josh Allen can do it, we can do it too." It don't work.
The thing is though, also at the same time for the Niners, like, yeah, it sucks that they're losing their quarterback, their franchise quarterback for the year, but at the same time, it's back to Jimmy G, baby. Like, come on,
Jimmy G, man.
All reliable, man. Like,
the luxury, man, having him as a backup quarterback in this
league. You can't go wrong with Jimmy G, man.
All reliable.
His agent knew this was going to happen or something because there's a clause in his contract where every win he gets $250K, and he starts, he gets another 200 on top. So I don't know, man. Something's going on. But
to be honest, like he just gives the Niners stability. Like they know they're going to revert back to their offense, but it was a bit sad to see Trey Lance go like that because there's a lot of possibilities with this offense and their playmakers. Like, George Kittle's probably going to be back this week or next week. It was a game time decision. He's going to be back next week, probably for sure. So it sucks that Trey Lance doesn't have the opportunity to utilize those weapons, but all reliable's back. So they're going to do their run heavy offense, their play match, their Debo stuff. It's going to go back to the Debo
Going back to Jimmy G, the game manager, man.
The game manager mode. So nothing to write home about this game. The Seahawks, yeah, they had their cute week 1 win, but Back to reality.
I told you, Big H, you guys are gonna come back down to earth this week. Last week was scripted. We can go ahead and say that now.
I wouldn't say scripted. I mean, we seen how Russell. We're gonna talk about the Texas game, so we'll push to that. But Seattle, man, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I predicted them 3 for 14. We 1-1. I think next week we get a W, and it's gonna be a while after that. I ain't gonna lie, it's gonna be a while after that. So let's go.
Not much to say, man.
Niners though, man. I don't got much to say about Seattle. Overlow's back. Is it gonna work for them this time? I mean, they get so far with him every single year, right? Right when the end hits,
they know his limits, man. They know what he's capable of.
It stops at a certain point of time, and we're gonna come back next year. Jimmy G got to go back to the trenches. Get him out of the team. We don't want him. Trey Lance is our quarterback.
Shout out Kenneth Walker's debut though, man. Shout out that guy, man. Michigan State alum, man. He looks. I don't
even think he did much yesterday, bro.
He made his debut though. That's the thing.
He made his debut.
Oh,
he had a couple plays where he had some, some good yards, good catches, but other than that, he wasn't doing so much. But we'll see what the Niners cook up with Jimmy G, man. You know, I'm not a big Jimmy G fan. I had a lot of faith in Trey Lance this year, but we'll see.
Jimmy G, man. The next game we have is on here is the Cowboys beating the Cincinnati Bengals 20-17. Cooper Rush gets a win against Joe Burrow at home in his first start of the year.
This Joe Burrow guy, man, he's a very interesting character. I'll tell you that. First 2 games combined 500 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 picks, and he's not going up against the elite of the elite. I mean, the Cowboys defense is nice. I mean, the Steelers defense was nice. I'll give them that. I mean, they were two solid defenses. But you can't just, I mean, after the year you had last year to come out flat-footed like this, it was very shocking. And he just does not look to have what he had last year, where he was having those explosive plays, you know, getting up in the pocket, feeding Mixon, you know, in the flat and stuff. So Joe Burrow just, I mean, he looks to be a completely different person to me. And I knew that this was going to happen. I don't want to say I called it, but I was very low on Joe Burrow this year. I mean, I was low on him in total. I don't think I had him in my top 5 rankings in our first couple episodes. So, yeah, I'm happy to see what I'm seeing from this divisional rival.
I will say there's a lot of stuff at play right here. Joe Burrow's obviously at the center of it. He's the quarterback of the team. There's no way we can absolve him of blame. He hasn't been playing particularly well, if we're being honest here, and nothing short of disappointing to start the year. There's no question about that. Just been first week extremely erratic, forcing throws into tight coverage. This week wasn't particularly sharp. Again, they had the little comeback towards the end of the game, as they do always, but it just wasn't enough. But I will point out the so-called offensive line upgrades they're just not there. It's not real. He's been sacked 11 times in these first 2 games, which is crazy to me. He's at a higher rate than he was last year, and last year they had a terrible offensive line. So, and Zach Taylor, their play calling has just been predictable, hasn't been that explosive offense that we've been looking for. This week, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow just weren't on the same page. A lot of that I have to give credit to Trevon Diggs. I think he did an excellent job on Jamar Chase this week overall as a cornerback. And I'm not high on Trevon Diggs, but he did a great job on him this week. But the Bengals they just haven't looked like the Bengals could be that Super Bowl run hangover, but they've just been extremely flat-footed. They just haven't looked explosive at all. The offensive lineman garbage. Joe Burrow.
You absolve Joe Burrow of every blame. You said he was not, but it's fine.
I started everything off with Joe Burrow. He's at the center of it. He's the quarterback of the team. He's been holding on to the ball.
And your quarterback can't get outplayed by Trubisky and Cooper Rush in back-to-back weeks.
And I did not deny that at all. Like Joe Burrow. I did not deny that at all. Joe Burrow has not been good at whatsoever. Let's point that out. So that's my stance on the Bengals right now. I think they have a get right week next week against the Jets. So if they don't come out gunning against them, it's scary.
You know, Joe Burrow's been my guy since college, man. And he is not playing up to par what we expected him to play at. So coming into this week, or even after this week, he has 6 turnovers, 500 pass yards, and 3 pass touchdowns or 4 pass touchdowns?
3.
3. These past 2 weeks, it has not been looking well. Last week, it was bad for him, having 5 turnovers in 1 game, not playing well against the Steelers. I felt like this week could have been the bounce back week against the Cowboys with no Dak Prescott. But again, he couldn't get much on the offensive side. That offensive line that a lot of people raved about this past offseason, saying they upgraded, well, it's not looking like they upgraded. Like last year, they ended up, I think, the season with 55 sacks in total on Burrow. This year, like Abdi said, so far 11
in 2
and it's
games.
projected, if it keeps on going on like this for the full season, I think it's projected at 111. So that's a lot of sacks to give up. Burrow got to be more, more smarter in the pocket. A couple of his throws that he's making, he's forcing. He should be able to move out the pocket, make some plays on his legs, but it's not looking like that this year. So I feel like, next week against the Jets, it's a big week, but you might have to push the panic button on this team. The defense is not looking well as well. They're not getting stops, although like the last 2 weeks, what was the score of the games? 20-17 and then 23-26 or 23-20.
Yeah, they've been low scoring affairs, to be honest.
It's been low scoring
Nothing
affairs,
like
but against
crazy.
Trubisky and Cooper Rush. Like, I'm expecting, this defense to come up, step up, and play great. To hold, to hold Joe Burrow until he gets back onto his foot, starts playing much better. But it might be a long season for the Bengals. So we'll see. And then to top it off on Chase too, like 5 catches, 50 yards. It's like, come on now. We need a better performance from him. Diggs had a fantastic game. Parsons had, I think, 2 sacks this game. He played
Parsons and Diggs were good this game.
No, Parsons week in, week out. He's gonna have great weeks. Played great last week, played great this week. Diggs showed up this week, so gotta give some respect to the Cowboys.
I mean, you have weapons like Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins and stuff. So
Higgins had a great game.
You could have brought them into the game. But for him to
yards
have
and a touchdown, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, to only have 1 touchdown and 199, I mean, that's average. That's Baker.
That's just unacceptable, to be honest.
Unacceptable.
You guys are being a bit little on the nicer side when talking about Joe Burrow right now. And I'm a Joe Burrow fan myself, but what we saw yesterday was unacceptable. I know Abdi mentioned next week was a get right game for them. This last game was a get right game for them against the Dallas Cowboys, against a team that just lost their quarterback for 6 weeks, and you're going up against Cooper Rush. Like, you're not supposed to lose to Cooper Rush after making the Super Bowl last year. That's just something Kirk Cousins would do. Kirk Cousins lost to this guy last year. Like, that's like, you're the leader of this team. You have to be better. It doesn't matter about your defense not playing well and your coach's play calling being terrible. At the end of the day, you have to get your playmakers the ball, and you got to get the game. You got to get going early. You can't just coast through 3 quarters and just pray that, okay, I'm gonna bank on my talent and my talented receivers and try to come back and win this game like he did against the Steelers. And I said last week, I felt like he did enough to win them that game. This week, it was not the case. He did not do enough to win them the game at all. It wasn't even close. I get it that he marched down the field, he got him a touchdown, and he got him a 2-point conversion. Like, where was that earlier in the game? Like, I get it. Like, the Cowboys defense, Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, they had hell of a game. But at the end of the day, it's nothing crazy when you're going up against Cooper Rush, and you have to outplay Cooper Rush. And if you can't outplay Cooper Rush, it's alarming. Like, Cooper Rush finished with 235 yards and a touchdown, and Joe Burrow didn't even crack 200 yards. I think that's just unacceptable. And like, next week it's not an easy game. The Jets, they lost to them last year on their Super Bowl run. Like, and it was in New York as well. And I think the next game is in New York. Next week is in New York again. And the Jets, we saw what they did against the Browns. Like, they're gonna fight to the very end. They're just like the Lions, but a little less talented on offense. Like, I can't go in next week and say the Bengals are gonna come out victorious confidently. Like, what am I gonna see from Joe Burrow that's gonna be like, okay, like, he's back. I said he was gonna have a dominant game and come out maybe 3-4 touchdowns, and Joe Mixon was gonna have a good game, and his receiving core was gonna eat as well. And I said that in week 1, but that hasn't been the case. Like, we can't keep blaming everybody else and not like we got to put all the blame where it needs to be. And I think at this point, it has to be put on Joe Burrow. And I know I'm being very harsh on him, but I feel like I said that this team was going to be the only team competing with Buffalo. And we're going to get to Buffalo in a bit. Buffalo, these first 2 weeks, they're looking like they're ready to go. And the Bengals, coming off a Super Bowl loss, I thought they were going to be a lot more hungrier. And that's just not the case. But I'm hoping next week that they can come out victorious against the Jets, but we're just going to have to wait and see when we discuss that game. But Joe Burrow, he has to look in the mirror and tell himself and remind himself who he is, because this is right now what we're seeing is just not him. And Zach Taylor, I don't know, maybe call different plays for your weapons and your guys. Maybe not run the same 4 plays. I don't know. But Joe Burrow, you're the quarterback of this team. You can run the offense the way you want it to. So we're just gonna have to wait and see next week. But that's enough on Joe Burrow. We'll go ahead and move on to Denver Broncos coming out with a W in a close one against the Texans, surprisingly. 16-9. Russell Wilson didn't really play too well. I mean, the crowd was booing him. Pretty much disappointing game. I don't know what to say about this one.
I don't know. The Broncos just don't look good. They don't look inspiring to me at all. I know they lost Judy early in the game to injury, but he's day to day, so he should be good. But offensively, they just lack the punch. I know Russell Wilson was supposed to come in here and give him this offensive push, and they're supposed to be taking teams off the top and looking a lot better. But it just feels like they just been a sluggish offense, and it might be exactly what you mentioned about them, that this is a new offense for Russell Wilson. He's taking time to mesh, and it's the first year for him. So it's going to be an adjustment. So far, it looks like he might be on track with that take, because right now they just don't look good. To me, whenever I watch their games, like even week 1, I know he had 300 something yards and he had a touchdown. But it just felt like a lot more was left on the plate. Even this week, again, didn't play particularly well. And I'm not close to obviously hitting the panic button on them. I think they're going to eventually get it right. But at the same time, just feels like this offense should be way better than what it's projected to be right now. And it's just not looking good for us.
Yeah, no, Russ looks very bad. And bad is an understatement. First game, you get outplayed by Geno Smith. Second game, I mean, you're going toe to toe with Davis Mills for much of the game before they pulled away late. I might be right on the head with it. This new offense is really something that's going to take a while to mesh, and I don't think that's a good thing, because this division is going to be a slugfest. You don't have 8 games where you got to get on pace with all of each other and basically be on the same page with all of your playbooks and stuff. Because Russ, I think it came out week 1 that he was still using the hand signals that he used in Seattle. So it's looking like there's a lot of discontent within the team, and losing Judy also might be something really bad. It looked like he got a really bad shoulder or collarbone injury.
He's good. He's day to day now.
Is he day to day now? Okay,
yeah, he's good now.
That's good then. But
and it came out this morning saying he's day to day.
Yeah, that's good that he's only day to day then. But what I saw from Russ these first 2 weeks, I mean, it's looking like it's going to be something where it's going to be a few weeks where they actually start hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that, what everybody said, especially going back to what Yahya said in the beginning of our podcast, like in the first couple episodes, yeah, this offense is going to take some time to mesh. Wilson looks like a shell of himself. I don't know why. I don't know how. Whenever they get to the end zone, they cannot get into the end zone. A lot of these, like last week against Seattle, they're in the end zone 4 or 5 times. I think they only came out with 1 touchdown. And this week again against Houston, going to the end zone 4 to 5 times. Come out with 1 touchdown. It's not enough on the offensive side of the ball. Struggling with teams like Seattle and Houston, it's going to go a long way in that division. So for them to scrape out this W, good win for them. They needed this W, but next week, coming to the Bay Area, they're facing the Niners. It's going to be a tough one.
I think you guys said everything that I was going to say, and especially me saying that Russell Wilson was going to have to adjust to this new offense in previous episodes. It's just looking like my take was right. He didn't look good. The fans were booing him. Their clock management was terrible. They were wasting timeouts here and there. Am I surprised they won this game? No, because we expected them to win this game comfortably. I mean, it's just like the way they won this game. If you're only putting up 16 points against the Texans, it's kind of alarming. I mean, it raises questions for your coach and maybe your quarterback, the guy you paid so much money to. You gave him an extension. I mean, he got Cortland Sutton involved. I know Judy went down early, but I mean, 16 points. I just feel like that's just not enough. I mean, next week they got a tough one against the Niners, especially with Jimmy G at quarterback. It's not something that the Niners aren't going to come out looking confused, because that's the guy they're familiar with. That's their leader now in the huddle. But we're just gonna have to wait and see on the Broncos. Their division is not easy. I mean, the team below them that we're gonna talk about next might be terrible, but for them, they got to compete with teams like the Chiefs and the Chargers, and it's not looking like that right now. But the next game we have the Cardinals coming back and beating the Raiders 29-23 in overtime. Kyler Murray finishes with 277 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, not much to say about the Raiders, to be honest. I feel like this is a very disappointing loss on their end.
I don't know what's going on. Like I said it before, like Derek Carr, I'm not particularly too high on as a quarterback, especially when you consider the competition that's in his division. But I expected him, at least with having these weapons, to come out looking like, okay, we got a chance. And I gave him week one, like he was under pressure. Yeah, he was force feeding Devonte, but it's the Chargers, like they're the better team. They won. Fair enough. This week coming in, I expected, okay, they're going to win this game. He's going to spread the wealth. Everybody's going to end up eating, and they're up for a bit. They're up 23-0 or 20-0 at half, and then second half just a complete meltdown from Derek Carr, and it's just like you have all these weapons, and Devonte Adams gets 3 targets, I think. 3.
Yeah, Devonte Adams finished with 7 targets, 2 catches though, for 12 yards and a touchdown.
That's unacceptable for Devonte Adams. I'm not saying force feed him like last week, have him 17 targets, but this is Devonte Adams we're talking about. Nobody on this planet is going to stop him one-on-one, but you leave him out to dry like that, and your offense just discombobulated, and you allow Kyler Murray, who only had 1 passing touchdown, an interception, I think a rushing touchdown as well, and like 2 two-point conversions, to just have that game against you. It's a disappointment, and the Cardinals defense isn't particularly great or anything, and Derek Carr just has a subpar game. So the Raiders need to hit the panic button as of now, because they just I know I went back on my take on them. I had them finishing 3rd in this division, but I expected them to at least split these first 2 games, lose against the Chargers and win this week, but it's just not looking good at all. You're muted.
Mute.
Oh, apologies. I just want to give praise to my man Kyler, man. I always been high on him. He came out and played a hell of a game. No Rondale Moore. James Conner went down late in the 3rd. So he just got it to AJ Brown, and he literally was
Marquise.
No, I got it to Marquise. It was AJ Brown for the
AJ Green was for the game.
AJ Green.
For the 2-point conversion.
For the 2-point
conversion, yeah. Where he just ran around and just found him in between 3 defenders. You guys always said Kyler Murray doesn't have this. Kyler Murray doesn't have that. Granted, I mean, it's the Raiders defense, but I just want to give a quick shout out to him. As for the Raiders, though, yeah, I agree with your take. It might be time to hit the panic button. It might really be time. And this offense has too many elite players to actually be playing the way they are.
I mean, I know last week I said force feeding Devonte might not work for them going forward, and like he finished with 17 targets. But for him to only finish with 7, and Hunter Renfrow, Mac Hollins, and Darren Waller finished with more targets than Devonte Adams, that's not what I was aiming for. That's not what I was trying to go for when I said spread the wealth around, the talented group that you have. Devonte Adams should still be leading your receiving core in targets, but that just didn't happen this week. And I mean, to blow a lead like that, I mean, they had the game won. Kyler Murray, he was great in the end, but throughout the game he wasn't great. But when it mattered most in the 4th quarter and overtime, he was nothing less than spectacular. So I got to give him credit where credit's due, especially with like BLS mentioned, Connor going down, and him just finding his guys, Ertz, Hollywood Brown, AJ Green, when needed. But this is more about the Las Vegas Raiders blowing this game more than it is about the Cardinals winning. And I mean, definitely it's time to hit the panic button on these guys.
Yeah, for me, it's Raiders should be 2-0. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's first game, stupid mistakes. Carr tried to force feed Adams. I think it was 3 picks and a fumble. This week they just blew a 20-point lead entering the second half. So defensively, they got to step up, and offensively, man, Derek Carr's the biggest problem on that team. I don't think he's the quarterback that's going to take that type of offense to where they need to go. So there was a couple passes where Devonte was open. He would just miss him. Either he'd throw it on the ground or just be 2 seconds behind him, or it was horrible passes. So
yeah.
I
do have a question for you though, Big H. What differentiates this from Lamar's game? I mean, is it just the scoreboard being different? I mean,
Derek Carr was not doing anything in this game, to be honest, even from the jump.
Hey, Derek Carr didn't even have a good game.
He did not do anything. From the jump.
He got him to. I mean, as a quarterback, you gave your team a sizable lead. I mean, is that not what Lamar did?
Lamar was putting up MVP performance. Derek Carr wasn't.
Give a sizable lead, right? But Carr coming into the half with a 20.
I don't care about stats, by the way, of Lamar.
Obviously, stats matter.
Obviously, it does.
One guy was performing, and the other wasn't.
Showing up. If Carr was the main factor in the first half, and he was like, "Hey, I'm putting up stats. I'm doing this. I'm doing that."
Do you feel like it's different though?
I'm not blaming him.
Question?
I'm not blaming him if he put up the numbers. He did not put up any numbers, and his defense was horrible. So it kind of shows that he's just you're targeting Matt Collins 10 times.
Come on, bro. Like Lamar Jackson, if he had Devonte Adams, bro.
Lamar Jackson ended the game with 435 yards, and
300 plus passing yards, and like 100, and it's like 400 plus total yards.
400 plus total yards. I don't know if you can compare that to Derek Carr stats.
Yeah, Derek Carr was.
I don't want to hear about stats, bro. Quarterbacks are meant to lead teams. Both
at the end of the day, when it comes back to Lamar, I mean, I just feel like we always keep finding our way back to talking about this guy.
It's the same.
I mean, if you give your team 35-15 lead going into the fourth quarter, you should be resting and thinking about the next matchup you have in the next week. But
Derek Carr was not doing that.
Yeah, for the defense, for the Ravens defense to give up that many points.
But he wasn't the reason why they're up 20 though. Like he legit was not the reason why they're up 20. Derek Carr did not have like a great game or anything by any sort.
He's the quarterback of the team.
Their defense, the Raiders defense stepped up in the first half. Well, actually, they stepped up pretty much to the first three quarters, only allowing 7 points. Exactly. For them to collapse in the end, I mean, Derek Carr should have done more. I mean, we saw Lamar do more, right? He put up 35 points, and it still wasn't enough. And Derek Carr only put up 23 points. So it's 23-7 going into the fourth quarter, right? And then their defense allowed 16 points. So, and Derek Carr, you gotta get your guys the ball.
Yeah, come on, like one guy has Devonte Adams.
Yeah, I mean you can't necessarily blame Lamar for his performance because he got his playmakers the ball, he got Bateman the ball, he got Andrews the ball, he was running the ball pretty well himself. I mean, what can you say about Derek Carr? He wasn't getting his playmakers the ball. He wasn't even targeting his best weapon, the ball. He was giving the ball.
He was spreading the offense. I mean, Renfro was getting catches. Waller was getting catches. I mean,
I respect those two guys as players. But you have Devonte Adams, who's arguably the best receiver in the league. Actually, not even arguably, he is the best receiver in the league. You got to get him the ball more. You got to get him the ball.
Isn't how they lost week one because they overgave to Devonte? I mean, that's why they switched around to the pass.
And that's why I said I said that he should have spread the wealth. I didn't expect it to look like this. Like he should still be leading the team in targets.
Matt Collins should not get 10 to 11 targets. That's a lot of targets for a 4-string receiver, a 4-string option on the team, basically.
And you have Devonte Adams there. Like, come on, man.
I remember Devontae's first catch. His first catch was a touchdown for.
Yeah, we know Devonte, Waller, Renfro. They should get their targets.
I'm just chalking this up to bad coaching because I mean
I was just gonna get to that. That's 2 games in a row. I felt like the Raiders should have won. First game they had. The 3 interceptions and the fumble from Carr. All you have to do is, control the ball, be smart about it. That triple coverage throw he made last week, you don't have to do it. This week they came in, managed the ball a little bit better, and then it just disappeared second half. Offensive plays wasn't really being ran. They weren't getting nowhere on offense. Defense, fourth quarter. I mean, you get tired after your offense is not scoring much. I mean, they're chasing Kyle Murray around like it was nothing. The guy was running back to the 25-yard line.
They're exhausted.
He runs back to the 30-yard line on a 2-point conversion that runs all the way back to the end zone. It's like, come on now. You're not going to be chasing that type of midget around 24/7, He got wheels. There's a reason. You're not going to be running with him all day. So to see Carr again come back into this game second half, not find a way to, keep the lead, keep it pushing, I don't know. It's tough.
It's very concerning.
Josh McDaniels, man.
And they even got the ball back in overtime as well.
Yeah, they got the ball back in overtime.
They got the ball back. They did.
And they didn't do anything with it.
Fumble and
I'm pretty sure that was like the second time they got it back, field goal range.
Yeah.
Bad play from the whole team in general. So I feel like they should be 2-0, man, but
they can't afford to be dropping games like this, especially being in that tough division like we mentioned just a few minutes ago. We'll go ahead and move on to the Packers versus the Bears. The Packers win this one pretty comfortably, 27-10 on Sunday night. Aaron Rodgers throws for 234 yards, 2 touchdowns. He bounces back. Aaron Jones goes for 15 touches to 132 rushing yards and a touchdown. He bounces back. He had a great game receiving. I think he finished with he had a touchdown for sure, but the yards maybe finished like 60. I mean, Rodgers, he looked like his old self this game. Nothing crazy.
I said it last week. Like if Aaron Jones touches the ball. Crazy stat. We have a 29-1 record since 2019 when Aaron Jones gets 15 plus touches. If he gets 10 plus touches, 38-5. Like I keep saying this, LaFleur doesn't realize the amount of talent that Aaron Jones has. The guy averages about 5 yards per carry whenever he has the ball rushing. He's explosive playmaker, whether he's receiving or he's rushing. And I know I slander AJ Dillon a lot because I feel like he's just a sluggish running back, just get us those 2 yards and whatnot. But Aaron Jones, in terms of what he provides to this offense, like, but again, the wide receivers are still scaring me, man. Like Romeo Dubs did show some flashes this game, some nice screen plays and whatnot. But I just feel like offensively, like it's just not gonna look. It's not looking particularly great for us. Like our running backs, we're gonna rely heavily on them. Aaron Jones is just gonna. He's by far our best playmaker, and it's not close. So, but I'm happy that we got this win, and our defense did look a little bit better in the second half. But we did get gashed on the floor by Montgomery. But overall, like I'm scared for this wide receiver core. But Aaron Jones, I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about this game. Aaron Rodgers did his annual Bears beatdown. This offense looked, way better. What do you call it? With Aaron Jones getting way more of the touches and it not being balanced with AJ Dillon, because AJ Dillon just looks, I don't want to call it, but like he's just like a big guy that just runs. That's about it. He's a big guy that runs, and Aaron Jones looked way more explosive.
He's a big physical back,
Yeah, that's all it is to him. I feel like you need a fourth down, you're 4th and 1. Give the ball to him. That's about it. That's his duty on the team. So this team looked way better this week. Was hitting better on all cylinders on offense. I saw that Tanyan got involved as well. So they're spreading the wealth, and it looked way better as an offense. So.
Yeah, another Packers week against the Bears. Aaron Rodgers always owns these guys. Me, I ain't gonna lie. I fell asleep during the game, woke up halftime. They were up pretty big, and I was like, yeah, Aaron Rodgers doing his thing. Aaron Jones, phenomenal week for him. So if they can get the ball to Aaron Jones at least 15 to 20 to 25 times a game, they might be able to ride him and let Rodgers do his thing. But the receiver core, I feel like they got to step up, especially with Christian Watson, Romeo Dubs. I haven't even seen Randall Cobb on the field a lot. I mean, what's up?
He got like one big catch. That's about it. He got one big catch. That's about it.
It's tough, man.
Sammy Watkins got one big catch. That's really about it.
Yeah, I seen the Watkins catch second half. It's the Bears week. I really can't say, hey, Packers came back top of the NFC North again. This is what it is. But next week's a big week for you guys. So Tom Brady.
The Packers, they just came in and did what they were supposed to do. It's the Bears, so you're supposed to go in and win this game at home, especially coming off a loss like that. But I'm just gonna keep repeating this every week. Abdi said you said your offense is gonna be at its most balanced state without Devonte, and it's not looking like that these first 2 weeks. And I know you guys got to win, but I think it's time to hit the panic button on this team overall, because like, what are we supposed to expect from this offense? Like, this receiving core is literally one of the worst in the league. Like, can Rodgers win with this roster, with this offense? Like, I get it, Aaron Jones, he had a hell of a game, but that's the only guy you really have that's explosive on offense. You guys' weapons around him, as in terms of receivers, is like pretty much terrible. So I don't know what's like. I get it, you guys beat the Bears, but moving forward and going on for the rest of the season, like, it's very alarming and concerning. So, like,
we're gonna see versus Tom Brady next week.
I like their schedule coming up for them to adapt and get used to each other in the chemistry. Other than the Buccaneers, they got a pretty easy schedule. So it's like they see Patriots, they see Giants, they see Jets, and they see Commanders. So those 4 games right there, there's some time for them to get some chemistry.
You can only rely on Aaron Jones and his run game, his pass catching ability for so long. At the end of the day, you need receivers that are going to go out there and make some plays. And I feel like Rodgers does not have that. Like, Sammy Watkins had a big play for 55 yards. He finished with 93 yards. Randall Cobb, his longest catch was 20 yards. Romeo Dubs, 20 yards. And those 2 guys both finished under 40 yards. Like, what are we supposed to expect from this team and this offense going forward? But it was good enough for them to get the win. As always, like I said last week, he owns the Bears, and he said it himself. There's nothing really to write home about this one. We'll go ahead and move on to the Buffalo Bills beating the Tennessee Titans pretty badly. It was an ugly one in our doubleheader for Monday night, 41-7. The Titans scored in the first quarter, and they weren't able to score ever since. Josh Allen finished with 317 yards, 4 touchdowns. Diggs had a hell of a game, 148 yards, 12 catches, and 3 touchdowns. The Bills look good, man.
Josh Allen continues to make his MVP case, man. He continues to make an MVP case. We talked about the Bills as the Super Bowl favorites coming into the season, and they've been exactly what we predicted them to be. Just absolute dominance in this game. Ryan Tannehill, it's looking like his time as their starting quarterback. sooner but later will end up becoming short. At some point, they're gonna realize like we just can't have this guy as our starting quarterback anymore. He gave us a good couple of years managing the game for us with Derrick Henry, but we just can't have him as our quarterback. I think at some point later on down the season, we're gonna see Malik Willis get some time. We did see it this game during the blowout, but he had some struggle moments. But again, he is a rookie. He's going to be adapting. But the Bills just unreal performance from Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. That connection has just been on fire to start the season. There's not much to say about this team, just dominance. So we're gonna see them against Tua next week and how that looks. But the Bills, man, they're the Super Bowl favorites right now.
Nah, man, what Stephon Diggs did to that rookie corner tonight was absolute abuse, man. Just rotting him up, and they had no safety over the top. So this Titans team just looks completely lost on all cylinders. I mean, it doesn't help your quarterback is throwing picks left and right and just airmailing everything, looking like, I mean, Ryan Tannehill of Miami. So I think it's time for not Patrick Willis.
Malik Willis.
Malik Willis. Yeah, Malik Willis to step in and, hey, I mean, just like our situation right now with the Steelers. Hey, just throw them into the fire. I mean, it's good. You guys are obviously not going to contend this year in the AFC. So I mean, they might want to cut their losses early in a couple of weeks once they start off 0-5 or 0-6 and look to the future. So this team looks totally out of it.
Bills offense, man. Josh Allen, Diggs looking like best 1-2 combo we've seen this year for sure. They're hitting on all cylinders, putting Diggs in the slot, putting Diggs outside. They can put Diggs wherever they want. He's going to cook up in that position. So seeing it today, fantastic game from them. Super Bowl favorites. Got the Miami next week. Oh yeah,
Miami next week against Tua.
Tua better come prepared. And talking about Tannehill, time to bench that guy. Last week he didn't do much. This week, same, just trash. Just trash. I think he had 3 interceptions today. They really couldn't find anything with the run game with Derrick Henry. I'm pretty sure he had like 16 carries for like 25 yards. It's pretty bad. They didn't score. They scored the first drive. Other than that, they didn't get nothing else on the board. So that division, man, sooner or later, they just got to scratch that division. It's nasty.
Just send them to China, man.
Nasty. You got Tannehill, David Mills.
Ryan. You have Trevor Lawrence, promising.
I respect Trevor Lawrence. I wasn't going to say his name. But you have those 3 quarterbacks in that division. Matt Ryan is nasty. So, yeah, Tannehill, man, I said it before. The guy's a horrible quarterback. I don't know how they went 12-5 last year. It's crazy. Free my guy, Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I got nothing to say about this game. Josh Allen looking like the MVP. The Bills, they came out in week 1 gunning against the Rams, the reigning champs. And, they didn't skip a beat today on Monday night, primetime at home. Diggs and Josh Allen, their connections are obviously one of the best in the league. And I expect them to keep that going next week and the week after that, because they're going to be one of the top teams to come out of the AFC this year, for sure, as we talked about in previous episodes.
This week, no Gabe Davis either. So next week,
yeah, no Gabe Davis too. So like, it's scary what this offense can look like when he comes back, and they're just firing on all cylinders, even on a crazy level when he's healthy. But we'll go ahead and move on to the last game of the week. Unfortunately, my team didn't come out with a W in this one on the road against Philadelphia.
I mean, what did I say last week? I literally said that offensive line for the Eagles is absolutely amazing, and they were nothing short of that. Jalen Hurts, clean pocket, tore the Vikings apart the first half. I think he started at 11 for 11. Again, incredible performance from him. He saw what Tua did, and he decided, I need to match that. Didn't quite get there in terms of touchdown count, but he played nothing short of great. And the Vikings, I mean, that's tough performance from them. Kirk Cousins on primetime. Like, me, I'm a Captain Kirk fan, but Kirk on primetime is crazy. Like, it's
2-10 record.
It's night and day with Kirk Cousins on primetime. So the Vikings offense did not look good defensively. Even I think defensively it was a bit more worrying than it was offensively. I think because offensively they're going to be better, but to allow Jalen Hurts to have that much time
defensively, it looked like they were just standing around.
It looked like they weren't guarding. It looked like they weren't guarding
receivers.
Nobody.
Like you guys were like 15 yards off of each receiver.
It just felt like they weren't guarding nobody.
It was like no man on man, no press, nothing. It was just
the Eagles took advantage of the middle of the field being so wide open. Devonte Smith was getting loose. Dallas Goedert was getting open. AJ Brown, Quez Watkins. Yeah, he got it was just too many open holes in the middle of the field. But
I do have a
I'll let,
question.
I'll let you guys finish up
I
before I
have a
talk
question
about this
though.
team.
I mean, your
Go ahead, Bieler.
top two wide receiver, Justin Jefferson. I mean, 37% shadow rate. So I mean, Slay wasn't on him the whole game, but when he was on him, 5 targets, 1 reception, 7 yards, 2 picks. I mean, it's something where I called it. Don't say I didn't tell you so. Justin Jefferson.
Wide receivers have bad games. I'm not going to sit here and say Justin Jefferson.
I'm not gonna let you make an excuse for him as a bad game.
Then
he was a top 2
wide receivers have bad games.
Yeah,
we talk about
we see
it all the time.
He
is, and he still is. And I'm still standing on that. That's not going to change. That's not going to change.
He needs to not have these bad games if he's a top 2 wide receiver.
But it's not. Yeah, like it's in his hands though.
No, Cooper Cup's on his way to another 1,800 years.
That's one question. Hold on.
That's nice though. That's nice.
Hold on.
Against AJ Terrell, by the way.
Hold on.
You yourself don't even rate AJ Terrell, so it doesn't matter.
What did you just?
Hold on. I don't care about AJ Terrell. I don't care. He just said, as a top 2 receiver, you cannot come out with those performances, right?
That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Let me say a couple of the receivers that you have listed above JJ. Jamar Chase, 5 catches, 50 yards. As a receiver, he should not be coming a
2 catches and 14 yards.
I never had JJ
Trayvon Diggs, by the way.
I never had JJ about what do you call it, below Jamar Chase, but go ahead.
I believe you actually did, actually.
No, I didn't.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on from Chase. Yeah, go ahead. I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, DA, 2 catches, 12 yards. Is it his fault they lost the game?
Okay, you guys are doing this little thing where you guys
exactly.
No, but one more question.
Why are we beating around the bush? Why are you beating around the bush?
I'm not beating around the bush.
One more question though. That second pick Slay had on Jefferson, right?
He couldn't get any separation.
That ball was already thrown to Slay's chest.
It was thrown to Slay's chest, but Slay was on him like butter.
What type of pass was that though?
Slay was on him like butter. The whole night.
Hey, but Kirk Cousins, but you have to throw a ball. You have to throw a better ball. Jefferson even finished his round.
I do want to point out one thing though. DK, your wide receiver gave problems to Darius Slay. Problems.
I mean, I will point out something about that though. That year, Darius Slay wasn't particularly great. I think it was a 3-week stretch where he was guarding Devonte, DK, and Hopkins. He wasn't. That was 2020 season. He was not good in 2020. 2021, Darius Slay had a major bounce back. He was amazing in 2021.
They called him Big Play Slate 2021.
Big Play Slate in 2021. So he had a bounce back. So that's almost 2 years ago. Like we're in 2022 now. Darius Slay he's
no. I remember you guys mentioning.
But I get where Beavis is coming from because at the same time, coming into that second half, I felt like Jefferson gave up. They looking at him on the sideline before the halftime started.
That's not something a top 2 wide receiver does.
You don't come to the sideline. You don't come to a game like that, giving up at halftime like that. Like for me, I had the same problems with DK last year and the year before. There's always the sideline issues, complaining, crying, this and that. Just go play football.
I mean, him and Kirk, like their issues have been going on for a while now, though.
But we know Kirk's issues though. Like you're gonna know the issues with Kirk. You just have to overcome that. Just keep on playing. Darius Slay had a great day on him, but for him to kind of give up at halftime, to pout, to complain, it's not gonna help the team much.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. But
it's like the same thing. Yeah.
Let's get back to BLS. JJ didn't have a great week, so now it's your day to bash on him.
And I'll continue bashing on him.
Yeah, but last week you weren't really saying much. So
no. I mean,
just be consistent. That's all I ask you. I'll ask from you. Just be consistent week to week. Because last week you weren't saying much when you came back.
No, I started this in the summer. In the summer when you were parading him around as a top 3 wide receiver.
Top 2.
It's always been.
And I still stand on that. Get the facts right.
You can stand on it. There's no logical reason that he's a top 3 wide receiver.
Fair. That's fair enough. That's your opinion. We'll keep it at that. But let's move on to what happened in the game tonight. Kirk Cousins, of course, on primetime, he's just not that guy. And if the NFL care about this man's mental health, they would not put him on primetime. They will literally remove us on Monday night, Thursday night, Sunday night. Literally, do not put this man on primetime because he will not show up and perform. So Kirk Cousins out of the window on primetime. Now I want to get back to our defense. Our defense in the first half was terrible. And I said it to you guys early while we were watching the game. Second half adjustments are needed. And literally they came. Like it's the second half, we literally gave up no points for the Eagles. They literally went scoreless. I mean, I know they had control of the game in the throughout the whole game. But at the end of the day, they didn't give up any points. So I can't blame the defense fully because the Eagles went scoreless. And I know we have to be better in the first half. We gave up 24 points. That's unacceptable. Like there was just too many spaces in the middle of the field where Jalen Hurts was slicing our defense up. Like that can't happen from week to week. But for the Eagles, their offensive line, this is the greatest offensive line I've ever witnessed. Like literally, like Jalen Hurts, he went untouched throughout the entire game. We sacked him 3 times. I can't even remember the 3 times we sacked him because maybe it happened in the beginning of the game, in the middle of the game.
There's one in the beginning of the game,
and probably in the end of the game when he was just trying to like run down the clock and do, extend some play that really didn't mean anything. So that pocket was clean for him all night. He torched us. So I gotta give my hats off to him and all the credit in the world to him because he did what he was supposed to do on Monday night.
One thing I want to say is this past 2 weeks, though, you guys are not feeding the ball to Dalvin Cook.
It's not. Yeah. Let me get to that. Our offense. Kevin O'Connell. Of course, I gave him his flowers last week, and I'm not gonna bash on him too heavy this week because it's just too early in the season to hit the panic button on my team for sure. Personally, if you guys want to hit the panic button, you guys can go ahead. But Dalvin Cook, we need to get more involved in the game. I understand that last week we switched up our whole offense, our whole game plan coming into this year. We're supposed to, get JJ involved early and let Dalvin Cook, ease him in as the game goes on. But that just can't happen now. Like we got to mix in him and Justin Jefferson. They're 2 of our best weapons. Like we got to get them the ball no matter what. I think Dalvin finished.
But does Adam Thielen still play football?
Yeah, and another player that
finished with the most yards today.
But a lot of it came in garbage time.
He had more yards than Justin Jefferson.
I can't even count a lot. I can't even count any.
What do you mean
what
he's
he
still
did
alive?
today.
He had more yards than Justin Jefferson.
Literally,
garbage time though.
A lot of
the game was done.
literally everything that he got today. 52 yards on 4 catches. That came in garbage time. 7 targets. Like I said last week, him not being